in a 1-year period. Any time required above and beyond this hour will be paid at the hourly rate that is determined by you. As a resident and taxpayer of Cedar Hills, I am concerned with any waste in taxpayer money. Whether it is initiated by an elected official, a government employee, or a private citizen, it is still waste in my eyes. Excessive grammar requests can easily become a burden on taxpayers. I believe my request is a fair balance for the legitimate needs of a citizen as well as a taxpayer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Howard. You can give your name and address, please.
John Howard, 4654 Cedar Run Circle. I always say it's Cedar Hills, Utah, so I'm on the phone with the whole thing, sorry. I wanted to talk about the ground request just because I think it is a good thing that we have it. We do need it. It's good to find out first 15 minutes for free. But I do think there does need to be a fee in after that, even just to put that time together. First 15 minutes is going to go fairly quickly. I would be of the opinion that the excessive requests that have been put on by other groups and other individuals from the city, there does need to be a cost for them to have that information. They need to be specific in the topic as well. That's one thing I haven't heard as they come through. We need to identify if it's for the good of the public or if it's for individuals. That, to me, sounds like it's left up to the city to decide. And I'm wondering if there's a way to quantify that. My history is engineering, and if you can quantify and put it into a bucket, then it's happier for me to deal with. If it is so with the public backing or with an opinion behind it, how is that determined? I think if we can put some measurement to that, that would help also clarify part of this issue. How many people, in what areas, what public issue will it really solve? That could help possibly solve part of that issue there. Because I think ultimately down the road, we have enough knowledge now to know what part we're free, where we can charge. But now the big question mark is going to be is how do we determine which is which? I think that's going to be up for you guys to decide and develop. All my other previous comments were answered, so that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes all of our public comments regarding this item. So council, time is yours. Any thoughts or concerns? And go ahead.
I'll speak up on one issue. I believe whenever there's a problem, there's a lot of times lack of communication, and that's one thing that I'm finding when we met the other day. There was a lot of lack of communication that I feel happened in the past with these grant requests that caused the request to be more than maybe needed to be, but also handled in a way that was more expensive than it could be. And I think sitting down with these groups will yield some fruit in helping us to communicate. For instance, I believe that in our meeting it became more clear as I spoke with them. I did not believe that we should be going through every single email to make it and post it publicly or make it available via ground requesting, because there's so many emails that go back and forth. I think communication has changed, where it used to be letters. Maybe it used to be such that you can put everything in the public record, but emails are such, there's so many that you can't do that. And I believe that point was made with the group, and I think that had a little bit of understanding, but also just how the records become available, how they get extracted, put in PDF format, and redacted, the information that came out. How much time that takes needs to be communicated with this group. I think there needs to be meetings, and I think in the past people have been so afraid to meet with this group because of the cost that have been out there that anyone that wants to meet with them is labeled as catering to them. I believe that anytime you can increase communication with groups that are dissatisfied with the city, that there will be fruit that comes from that. And I feel like that's where we need to go. We need to keep sitting down with them, meeting with them, and discussing with them, because there's a lot of good people that are part of this group, and I think that just labeling them all as is bad, and we can't be with them, labeling anyone that's bad that wants to communicate with them is not the way to go to help decrease the cost for the city and increase peace for the city. And so that's what I would suggest is we continue to meet with them, continue to go through the time it takes to go through these grant requests, and they understand it. And I do think that they will bring down the request and be more reasonable as we meet. The option is what we did last year and fight it until it goes legal, until they pay some money, and then spend a lot of money preparing a very, very large request. And I hate to see us spend that money again. So that's some of my thoughts.
Okay, so I, like you, am concerned about taxpayer money, always. And so you had mentioned that you thought the ground requests could have been done less expensive. Do you have any ideas in terms of how you think that could have been done?
Yes, I know that last time the attorney reviewed, or the attorney staff at least, reviewed every single page that went out. And I know there was extra hard circumstances that made it so that may have been necessary. I believe that we can have lower level staff, or not necessarily lower level staff, but staff that isn't as costly as the attorney. Review most of the documents, and I believe Colleen is very qualified. She's been trained. I think she can do most of the work of redacting the information and just have the questions go to the attorney, rather than all the pages go to the attorney like happened last time. And I think that added to the cost. I think working with them to help clarify and bring down the grant request scope, or at least clarify the scope, would help a lot. Looking at ways to get the information in format quicker and easier, so it's not so costly. I think these are all ways that we can reduce the cost for the city, and that's what I think we should look at.
And going forward, I think that is going to take place, and I'll explain why. So I know you weren't on the council last time, and so let me just remind you of a couple of things. That when we had the last ground request, we didn't have a full-time reporter, and we also had an interim manager, city manager. We also had a mayor pro tem who was serving until we had a special election. So we really had no option other than to have Mr. Johnson review this, because this was our first time going to the records committee. And after that, then he made a recommendation to Mr. Bunker that going forward, that Mr. Bunker and Colleen would be able to do all of the legal review first, and then anything they have questions with, then at that point he could be brought in. So I think going forward, the groundwater requests will be less expensive than what they were last time. That's a given. The question comes down to who pays for it. And so, if you were to ask all the residents, should they pay for anyone else's groundwater request, I think they would say no. So, I think we've tried to abide by the law, and will continue to do so. And so, I think all of us as elected officials agree that the groundwater process is something that's important in terms of ensuring that our residents and anyone who wants the information have access to it. What I don't think is fair is having other residents pay for someone's political endeavors. Council, do you have anything else you want to say? Go ahead.
I would just echo what residents have said, is that groundwater laws have a purpose, and I think that everybody on the council and staff understand and agree with that purpose, and that is to help government be open and transparent, and to give people access to public records. Those are all good things, and those are all worthy things. I think it's important to state that communication has been ongoing on this ground request and the previous ground request. There have been